He's doing a good job here. He's got his hands on
an 11-2 major decision for Isaac Roble and the Boilermakers.
What a win for Hayden Filipovic. To get the job done, he put Andrews on his back a couple of times.
Grayson Clark scores the final 8 points to take a 9-4 victory.
Beautiful job by Blaze. You saw him kind of drag it back with his head stuck in the middle.
Boilermaker faithful here at Holloway Gym, giving Ben Benadia a round of applause as he picks up his 4th Big Ten dual victory.
And he gets the takedown. Brody.
Welcome to the Always Aggressive podcast. I'm your host, Tanner Lipsett. With me, as always, the head coach, Tony Ersland, our producer, Corey Palm. Coach, we're home. It has been a long January.
Home sweet home.
It has been a long January, and we're not even to the end yet. But we're off the road, and I know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking a month-long vacation, so congratulations to you.
Yeah, no, that's generally the plan.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? You guys say I never do anything anyway, so I guess it doesn't really
true.
change.
Now you got to really live up to that.
It doesn't change much.
Now you
does
got to
it?
really live up to that. That's
So
good.
yeah, I'm looking forward to I'll stay home in my sweats, hang out with my dog. It'll be great.
Yeah, stay warm by the fire.
Yeah, it's good idea. My wife will like it. But before we get into my dereliction of duties, let's go back to this past weekend. Our doubleheader headed out to the East Coast, Maryland, Rutgers. All in all, a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, solid trip. Obviously, split matches there with winning in dominant fashion over Maryland and coming up short against Rutgers. But even where we might have been short, some pretty solid performances that we can build on.
Yeah, let's start the weekend with Maryland. As you said, we went out there and handled our business.
Yeah.
Great wins down low from
Ashton Jackson, first Big Ten win, major decision.
Isaiah Schaefer bumped to 41.
Yeah.
Handled his business against their starter who had been out for a while. A tight one for Gavin Brown at 49.
Yeah, top 10 foe there that he lost to, fell short. But again, I think he figured out too late that he was right there to win the match.
Right.
I mean, he had that sense of urgency at the end to go get the score and try to make it happen, and he put himself in a great position to do it. But I just think he was too cautious early. So, that's why I'm talking about maybe we were a little short, but you figured something out. Like he learned something from that match that can really have a decisive impact on the outcome next time.
Really solid performances up top. Bonus points from Stony Buell. Bonus points from Brody Bowman. Bonus points from both James Rowley
and Ben
Benadia. And then closed out the duel with a nice win from Hayden Filipovic. Let's start honestly with Stoney down at 157. Didn't even make it out of the first period. Just rolled the kid up.
Yeah, got back to his top game. It's not something we've probably seen as much from him this year, but we knew he was capable of it. And sure enough, he got a takedown early, and he started catching wrists and getting near fall early, which allowed him to end it really quick.
Going to 174, Brody Bowman. Really nice showing from Brody. He's really got it rolling right now. Obviously we'll talk more about him in the Rutgers match later, but really came out and did his thing.
Yeah, he did it different than Stoney. I mean, it equaled a lot of points, but 7 takedowns in terms of I think Stoney had the 1 takedown plus a bunch of near fall. Brody did a lot of work to get those 7, but still a lot of points. I was happy just to see him do the work. Sometimes it's easy, you're dominating the match. You don't always extend yourself to keep taking that kind of risk, but he needs to, right, for his own development. He needs to, and he did. So to his credit, he found up, getting the, was it third period maybe he got the tech?
Yep.
We made it all the way to third, so yeah.
James Rowley, bonus points again. Went out, too bad to hear that Jackson Smith, is out for the season at Maryland. You hate to see great wrestlers, go down like that. And it's just, obviously the sport loses a little something every time that happens.
Yeah, that's no good, right? I mean, we were shorthanded as well on the trip.
Sure.
Minus Grayson and Joey So you hate to see those kind of kids out for their teams, and especially we found out, I think, after the duel, or early this week, maybe that was for the year. I didn't realize he was out for the year.
I didn't either. Yeah, no,
that time.
we didn't hear anything about that on the trip, but that news broke on Monday or Tuesday.
Yep.
That he was done for the season. So that's too bad for him.
But good seeing James score a bunch of points.
Yeah, no, James went out, handled his business, got some nice takedowns, scrambled his way to some back points late in the match. Yep. Really put it on, and that's what he needs to do in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always need to do what you're capable of doing. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, none of us are perfect, and I don't expect perfection, but I do expect, your performance to kind of reflect the work that you do. I mean, if you're capable of getting the tech, you go out and work your tail off and get the tech. Sometimes you're going to be in a barn burner of a match, and it's going to be tight, and maybe it's a 3-2 match. That's okay, but let's not wrestle down to people or take an easy victory because you can.
Right.
There's no growth there.
One of the biggest, not the biggest win of the duel, and definitely one of the bigger wins of the weekend. Ben Venadia put it on Branson John, who had been having a really good season for Maryland.
Yeah, really excited for that performance. I mean, that's an easy, bar none, Ben's best match this year, probably of his entire career, to tell you the truth. Like, he executed at a really high level. I mean, he found his positions, whether it was snap and go behinds, or snap to reshots, or underhooks. He was just very strong in general with his game plan. He married up that pace and position that we talk about all the time, and did. He opened up and dominated a very good kid.
His hand fight has really emerged this season, and the fact, and that's, when he scored his points, when he's got his best wins, that's really what he's got working for him.
No doubt. He has to find his rhythm on his hand fight, and if you, like you said, if he does, boy, matches really go his way. He kind of tends to dominate the ties and finds his ways to points.
Hayden Filipovich went out, finished off the duel with a nice win. Great big kid for Maryland. That was a lot of young man that they sent out there on the mat, and Phil found his way to the takedown in the third period and did a good job.
Credit to Phil for just fighting hard. I think even Phil would tell you that he didn't wrestle the match that he had intended. But at the end, he had to do what he had to do to get the win. He created some action and gutted out a tough position. There was one point he's underneath the guy, really big kid, as you mentioned. We thought he was going to try to go around behind us, and use his size advantage, and Phil just kept wrestling through and ended up winning a kind of a scramble to gut out a tough win. So, again, example of where maybe you didn't wrestle exactly the way your game plan you saw it going, but, man, you just toughed it out and found a way to get it done.
Feel good to get that first Big Ten dual win in the bank there. As far as they're hard to come by in this conference. Let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it constantly about how deep and how strong and how tough the Big Ten is, and anytime you can go out and get one in the win column, it's got to feel good.
Yes, especially with a bunch of wins up and down the lineup, and then we had that string, as you mentioned, with bonus point wins, major techs, all those kinds. That's what I really like to see, is guys not just winning, but, man, boy, they're executing at a high level.
Well, and it's tough. We talk about this often, but you can't fully judge the sport or yourselves on wins and losses alone.
No.
You take yourself into a dangerous place when you do that, and so. Getting to see the performance also with the win. So you kind of, you're getting both things there. It definitely helps from a development standpoint and from a, team morale standpoint as you try to.
Momentum's big in any sport, and it's, when we got on that roll in the back end of the duel, it definitely helped us finish out the match the way we should have.
Luckily, we talked last time we got together about how that trip to Maryland and Rutgers has often brought bizarre and rough circumstances over the years, but pretty smooth, journey up to New Jersey. Nothing crazy during our time in Maryland.
No,
made it up to Jersey without a hitch, and
no fire alarms, no TikTok videos.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
No unforeseen conventions.
Yeah,
it was all good.
It all worked out that way. So, New Jersey, Rutgers. Jersey Mike's Arena, formerly the Rack. I always want to call it the Rack.
Yep. I get it.
There's nostalgia to it there. They put on a great show there.
They do. It's always a great environment, and that's what the crowd gets on you. But I was talking with a bunch of the older gentlemen there in the front row, right next to our bench before the duel started, and just said, hey, we love it here, because it's a good environment. You come to college wrestling to be in those kind of environments. It might not be 15,000 people like some arenas, but it's a tight arena. They come, they show out, and they get on you. So it's a fun environment, as long as you know what you're getting into. But I love it.
As we said before, didn't have Grayson, didn't have Joey. Just an incredibly tight duel, top to bottom.
Yep.
I mean, we were in sudden victory at 25,
Yep.
57, 70. No, we didn't go to not 70.
No, we took him down late. Yeah, that was a nail biter at the end.
But I mean, so many matches decided by 3 or fewer points.
Yep.
And while it didn't go our way as a team, was really excited for the guys that did find a way to gut it out.
Yeah, as you mentioned, lots of tight matches. 4 one-score matches, right? Whether that was in OT or just that tight at the end. You know what I mean? Like at 49, we lost on riding time.
Right.
Basically, right. Overtime at 25 because we just weren't disciplined. I thought, I guess I'll walk it through in my head.
Sure, we can.
Right. Yeah.
We can go match by match.
Sure. I mean, 25. Followed a good, strong match plan because we knew how the kid liked to attack and where he wanted to wrestle from, and we kind of really followed that game plan until the OT when we got a little bit overexcited. A little impatient. And he rushed an attack that he shouldn't have, and we gave up the reshot on. So, again, we lost the match, but I think Ashton could take some things away about how you need to perform in certain situations, how you need to almost control your composure, not get excited and rush. There's going to be growth there, from that. So, again, we lost the match. But you hope that's a big growth moment for a young guy who's in the lineup.
And Ashton wrestled. I mean, you look at the big picture of the weekend. He wrestled about 14 really good minutes on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then had about 30 seconds of oops.
Got a little overexcited.
So that happens. Yeah. 33 was a huge one.
Yeah, big.
Blake had a tough night on Friday at Maryland and was a little bit lost.
Yep.
And I don't know if I told you this, but Blake and I had a great talk. Blake was in my van, and we had a great talk on the drive from Maryland up to Jersey.
Yep.
And he was joking with me. He was joking with me after the duel that he was giving me all the credit for the win. So
there you go.
I told him no. I said I didn't step on.
You don't want to take some of that?
No, I don't want any part of that.
If it was a headlock he'd won by, you would have taken that.
100%. If it was a headlock, it would have been all me.
I know. I got it.
So, but I mean,
big deal.
I think your message to Blake after the Maryland duel. And I think, we talked about, and this was not just for him, but it's just people in general, about the fact that, sometimes you got to give yourself a little bit of grace.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give yourself a little bit of, forgiveness and the fact that, things don't always go your way. And you have to be able to take accountability and move forward and not carry that weight with you all the time. Because, like we said, wrestling in the Big Ten, you're going out there facing hammers week in and week out.
Yep.
And if you let that stuff, if you keep carrying that with you, it's going to get pretty heavy.
No doubt. And that's, that was, as you mentioned, that was kind of my message to him after. You got to give yourself a little bit of grace and take the weight off your shoulders here. Because, what I love about this team, too, is they care, man. These kids care. I don't doubt that they care. There's such a thing sometimes as caring too much or being too serious in the moment, and that impacts your ability to be free and loose and be who you're supposed to be. And so, again, that's, guys got to understand, hey, if I made mistakes, evaluate them, rationally without emotion, and then you can make adjustments and be better. And that's all we want to do. And so, I thought, as you mentioned, he did a good job just kind of bouncing back. He had a match that really went against him, and now he can see when he wrestles from the wrong position or the wrong ties, this is what can happen, right? Any competitor should understand that. But then he has a Big Ten champ in front of him, on Sunday, and he wrestles more from the positions he wants to be in. He dictates more, and he finds a way to get it done. So, again, man, a guy can pull a lot from knowing like, hey, I'm pretty dang good when I'm executing from my positions.
And he did it. I mean, that's what he went out and took your message to heart and got back to doing what he does best. He had a lot of attacks in that match against Dylan Shaver.
Yep.
Goes out, like you said, a former Big Ten champ. And, Shaver got in a couple times on his lefty high C.
Yeah, he's good. He's good with that shot to the left.
He's very good with that. And, you're not going to stop him from getting to it completely.
Yep.
And, but every time he did kind of get there, Blake did a great job scrambling, holding it off.
Yep.
And then once he did, went right back to his game plan, right back to his attack and
Yep.
his positions, and ultimately, got the lone takedown in the match and came
Yep.
out with the win.
No doubt, great match, and that's how quick things can turn if you let it, right? So that, again, just super pumped for Blake and how that kind of went compared to where he was at Friday, and what he made happen for himself on Sunday was a big deal, something he can really draw from and use.
Awesome story at 141 pounds. We go, to the Garden State. We take New Jersey's finest, Vinny Pano, with us.
Yep.
He and Isaiah Schaefer can't, we can circle back to this. Can't say enough good things about what those two did this weekend.
Yeah.
But Vinny goes up a weight.
Yep.
Against a very respected and nationally prominent wrestler, a guy with a ton of high school credentials.
Yep.
In Mason Gibson, and guts out a win in front of his family and his friends.
Yeah.
And a Jersey crowd for the Jersey boy, and so, just an awesome. Those are the kind of moments as, when you work in college athletics. Those are the ones that stick with you.
Yeah, and before I even go in depth on Vinny, just super proud of both those freshmen.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Isaiah Schaefer had a win over Maryland starter Lemus there, and looked really good with his pace and his pressure, against a good athletic opponent. And then what Vinny did on Sunday, like for those two freshmen to fill in for Grayson, and both find ways to come out on wins with gritty, tough performance is a big deal and bodes really well for them in the future. I mean, not only did they go up, but they're facing starters and regulars, and they showed up in a big way and was really gritty and tough. So that, all credit to them. Super proud of our young guys just finding ways to be tough and gritty and get themselves a win. And for Vinny specifically, stayed in it, was stingy, got taken down early, but stayed competitive, created scrambles, showed some good defense, showed a little bit of offense on his own, and then at the end, won a key scramble that I think had Gibson worn out, so we were able to ride him out, not let him, get the reversal, everything back to his feet. So just when you're kind of, don't give up any easy points, and you fight and you contest everything, that pays you back at the end. So even after he got the takedown, he got the ride out because, of that pace and kind of that attrition within the match. So super pumped for him. And as you mentioned, he had his people in the stands down front. So, I mean, that's twice as fun when you get a win on the road filling in for a guy as a true freshman, but you get to do it in front of your own people.
He said his dad bought that entire row. It was like one row back from the scorer's table. They were right on the mat, and you could definitely hear them and feel them. Just kind of above us as they pulled for Vin. And
it was awesome.
So yeah, he was pumped.
Yep.
How could you not be? Our last win of the duel, arguably the biggest, and definitely the biggest win of Brody Bowman's career. Takes down number 10 Lenny Pinto on the road. This is a guy who Brody had never beat before, had wrestled a few times, and really executed his game plan well, and got the road win.
Yeah. Brody managed that match pretty well. He's doing a better job of that this year, of not letting some of these situations get away from him where he has to do what I call chase, right? Like when you got to chase points, it's easy to get out of position and give up more points, right? And that's when you look at his match last year against Pinto, that's what had happened. He wound up having to chase a lot. In this one, he was able to hold position and still pick and choose his spots, create the action that he needed, showed some good defense too. So, and then at the end, use his exceptional quickness to go unload and get that low double. And again, rode him out, to finish. So, I like where Brody's at. He's getting a good sense. Again, just this time of year, you're in shape and you've been wrestling a bunch. You understand how you're going to win matches, how you're going to be successful against the best people. And I think Brody's starting to get a good sense of that.
And that's kind of where the next question and how I was going to go with this is, when you're a wrestler like Brody, who's been right there, he's been ranked in that 15 to 20, 20 to 25 through the bulk of the last 2 years. You go out, you get a win like this over a very, highly ranked and well-respected competitor like Pinto. What does that do for you as a wrestler as you go into the end of the season knowing that you can compete with that level of a guy?
No, that's what it does. It shows you can compete, right, at the level that you aspire to. You have confidence that I can execute my game plan against good people. And that's all you want anybody to understand is, hey, I can compete as long as I execute my game plan. Right? That keeps you, and I can go back what we've talked about a lot, the process, right? Like it always goes back to that. You've got to understand where you need to wrestle from, how you need to compete, to get it done against the best. And like I said, Brody's starting to get a good sense of that. And even Blake, Blake did not do that, wrestled from the wrong ties, from the wrong positions on Friday and was blown out, and then came right back and figured some things out, and again, was instantly competitive. So I think that's huge for anybody, just to understand, like, hey, I can be successful when I'm in these positions. Now you know what you're fighting for. If you don't have a clue of where you're even trying to get to, then we're probably really in trouble.
Yeah, and it's all, it's all part of that building process towards March. I know that you talk about this often about the fact that we're not peaking yet. We're still on the journey. We're still following the process. And so, we're not expecting the guys to be doing their best wrestling right now, but getting these lessons, learning these lessons, applying them as we march towards the end, is all huge for us.
Yeah, gather as much information as you can so that you can be as consistent as possible, right? That's the end, whether it's Big Ten and Nationals, it's consistency, match to match to match. You got to back them all up together to get there, and that requires you understanding what you're fighting for, what the game plan is, and then being able to execute it.
Already 3 matches into the Big Ten dual season, just 5 left. But I think the great news for us is the next 4 are at home.
Yeah.
How big is that for the team, for training, for the staff as we try to get here towards the end?
Yeah, no, I love it because again, the fact that you're at home, it takes out those travel days. It gives you extra training days as well to get some things that you want. And so, like next week, we'll have our duel here on Friday, but we're off on the weekend with just the single competition. You can get some rest in, you can get some recovery, get guys feeling good, and then you still got a long week before we get to Wisconsin on the following Sunday. So that there's extra training days where you can really dial in on some things. You can get people healthy, right? We've had a couple guys out. So again, it gives you some things that you just don't have when you're on the road as much as we had been.
That was you segued that very nicely there. Talk about being without Grayson Clark, being without Joey Blaze. Obviously, don't want to dive too far into their specific situations, but how is the team handled not having 2 of those guys, both national qualifiers? Obviously, Joey, fourth in the country, national finalist. Those. We depend on those guys for a little bit of energy.
Yeah.
And so how is the team handled not having them around?
It's been good. I mean, to their credit, right? And then again, we've talked about culture of the team before. They're a tight group. They've done well with that. I already spoke about the 2 freshmen. I mean, Pano and Schaefer, man, they really picked it up and got 2 solid wins on a weekend. Ike Rubel has been the guy kind of filling in here recently. He does a good job. I mean, even when he's short, Ike always fights. He gives you great effort. He's going to give himself a chance, right? So it's been good. We have not lost, in terms of energy or effort, on the bench. They were great this weekend. They were into the duel. They were supporting their teammates. It didn't matter if it was Ike or whoever went out. And so, again, I like that, that we can put other guys in and we don't lose a beat in terms of the energy or the effort. That's what you want. I mean, everybody's in a different place in development. We get that, but we're not losing on the energy or the effort out there.
2 events coming up here for us. Obviously, you mentioned them both. We have Michigan State here, our Big Ten home opener tomorrow, Friday, 5 p.m. in Holloway Gymnasium. It is our annual Hammer Down Cancer Duel. We'll be wearing
singlets are really cool this year, by the way.
Nike did a great job with them. Shout out to our partners at Nike.
Yeah.
We'll be wearing our special edition cancer awareness singlets, and we will be auctioning those off. Yep. Actually, the auction is live right now.
Yeah, it went live yesterday, I believe, right?
Can go bid online on those singlets. Lots of bids already turned in there, but go grab a piece of history if that's your thing. All proceeds from that go to the Purdue Center for Cancer Research and affect people in the Purdue community who are dealing with cancer.
Yeah, no, great cause, cool singlet, so a lot of reasons to bid.
Yeah. So to come out, be a part of that. Even if you're not here and you're not able to make it and you live far away, you still have an opportunity to bid on the singlets. It's all online. There's links on all our social media channels. There's links on PurdueSports.com. Go find the auction site and contribute to the cause. Looking ahead a little bit, want to keep getting people excited about this. Mackey Mania, we return to our basketball gymnasium, 15,000 seat arena. For our February 1st duel with Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin having a great year. Should be a good environment. I think there's been a bunch of tickets already reserved. Tickets don't cost anything, but they still want you to reserve them. And so from what I hear, the response has been pretty good so far.
Yes.
We've still got over a week to go, so hopefully we pick up a bunch more as well.
And just for clarity for everybody out there, the tickets are free. You just have to go on and reserve them. Also, if you're not able to reserve them for any reason whatsoever and you want to show up day of the duel, we're not turning anybody away. You don't need a ticket at the door. The ticket reservation system is more for awareness so that we can be prepared for how many people are going to show up in Mackey Arena, be staffed properly, concessions properly, security properly, all the stuff like that. So, we encourage you to go reserve your tickets, but if you can't, please still come see us against the Badgers February 1st, 1 p.m. Mackey Arena. Should be an awesome environment.
Yeah, it should be a great duel. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, Wisconsin's off to a good start this year. Got some kids back that were out last year. So, it should be an awesome environment and a great duel.
And, as we go into this stretch at home, never enough time spent thanking the people around here that do so much for us to get our venues ready, and the people here, Sydney Case, Nicole Piercy, Brooke Weber, Ben Jones.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting people.
It takes a village.
Al Capitos. So many people that do so much for us to get our facility ready, to make sure that, the video boards are pulling people into the crowd, music, whatever, setting up the mats, setting up everything.
No, I think that's great. I mean, those people deserve a lot of thanks for their hard work and their effort to help make this event a success. And so, thank you.
And, at the end of the day, it's all about the guys and being able to give them an opportunity in front of the home crowd to go out, showcase their talents, and get people excited about Purdue wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So, I feel like I had one more thank you I wanted to send out this week to people, and I don't remember who it was. But it's okay. We'll remember for next week. If I forgot somebody this week, I apologize. We'll get to you next week. That's about it for this week's show. The start of 4 straight weeks at home this weekend. Come see us tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. For those that can't come, it's going to be live on the Big Ten Network. So national television duel for the guys. Always great to be able to be showcased on BTN.
No, I love it. They do a great job with their production. You know what I mean? And so, again, just looking forward to a fun match tomorrow night, especially from the friendly confines of Holloway Gym.
I'm so excited to be able to sleep in my own bed the night before a duel and the night of the duel.
As am I.
And the day after. It just keeps going, right?
Yeah, we'll take it.
We'll take it. So that's it for this week's show. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you listening to the Always Aggressive podcast. For Coach Ersland, I'm Tanner Lipsett. Boiler up.